Let's bring in Jean-Pascal van Ypersele, who is a professor of climatology and environmental sciences at the University Catholique de Louvain. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, Jean-Pascal. It's good to have you. So we thought yesterday was the hottest day, but in fact today has been the hottest day on record. The southwestern town of Pisos, as I mentioned earlier, hit 44 degrees. I mean, it's just astonishing numbers. How bad could things get here?
Well, in the coming years, people who will remember this episode might remember it as a cool time, because we are, unfortunately, if we stay on the current trajectory with high emissions of greenhouse gases, we are on a trajectory towards even higher temperatures in summer during extreme periods. So this is not the worst temperatures that we will ever see in our lifetime, unfortunately.
That is very worrying. Some people in France have been left without power today. I mean, it's just a nightmare situation for them. France is just not built for these kind of temperatures, is it?
Well, it's not only France, it's actually many countries who have, up to now, totally underestimated the needs in parallel to the fight against climate change itself, to invest in the resilience, in the adaptation to climate change that would reduce the severity of the impacts of climate change. We need to do both, actually. At the same time, reduce emissions to keep the warming level as low as possible, and at the same time invest in adaptation and resilience to avoid the worst impacts.
Well, Jean-Pascal, let's get more practical. I mean, we've spoken about the failures in the power grid. Earlier, we also looked at a report on the National Railway Service cancelling some trains because the railways can't cope with the heat. What's it going to take for France to be able to cope with these kind of temperatures now?
Well, what's needed is a plan and budgets. The budget needed to address the issues of adaptation and emission reductions in the different sectors. Of course, most buildings are not made for the current temperature and need to be retrofitted so that people in those buildings can at least have some space where they can find refuge when there is a heat wave. But many infrastructures, you mentioned the train infrastructure, needs upgrades as well to be to be able to continue working and serve citizens during that kind of episodes.
Well, another thing that probably needs an upgrade, many are debating, is the Haussmannian buildings here in Paris, which make up a lot of the city's buildings. There's been a massive debate coming back into focus about air conditioning. It's often been refused because of the stringent regulations that are in place that protect Parisian buildings. Do you think it's time for us to overhaul all of that and get serious about AC?
Well, AC can help in some situations, for particular situations, but putting AC everywhere will not solve the problem, and will actually displace some of the problem, because what the AC does is moving the heat. It moves the heat from inside the building to outside, which means that the outside becomes even hotter. So cities in general, and Paris in particular, are already hotter than the surrounding areas in the countryside, because of the amount of buildings, the amount of heat-absorbing infrastructure, etc. So if you add a lot of air conditioning everywhere, you will only make life outside in the streets, for example, even more difficult. So AC is certainly not the solution for every climate problem, for sure. So it's a better design of buildings. You know, for example, many buildings have roofs which are not insulated. Many buildings have too many windows which are south of or west facing, which allows a lot of solar heat. of excess solar heat to enter those buildings and produce a very high temperature inside. So it's a redesign of buildings, a redesign of architecture, which is a broader reflection than just thinking about AC. AC can help in some situations, but it's certainly not the solution.
Well, there have been growing calls now, of course, for us to move away from fossil fuels. That's definitely been tied to the increasing temperatures. What can the ordinary person, the ordinary viewer that's watching this today, who feels that they need to do something, what can they do to help reduce climate change? Or can they do nothing at all? Is it for the bigger players to act?
Well, it's really for everybody to act. It's for governments, it's for companies, it's for citizens, it's for media as well. I mean, talking about the issue and talking about the possible solutions is a useful contribution. So people can do things in at least two areas. On the area of reducing emissions, it's moving towards leaving fossil fuels and moving towards using more electricity, for example, whether in mobility or in heating with heat pumps and that kind of things, rather than continue to burn fossil fuels, which are totally non-renewable, to heat or move. That's one area where action is possible. And the other one, on the area of adaptation and resilience, is to cut as much as possible all the solar inputs that heats buildings very quickly by covering windows with shades and I mean, there are several ways to prevent solar heat to enter the buildings where there is a lot of area covered by glass. So those kind of measures combined with proper ventilation so that as much cooling at night can take place by forcing the air to move outside of the buildings during the night and be replaced by cooler air, all of those can help, but it cannot solve the problem completely. We must accept that.
Jean-Pascal, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Great to get your thoughts on this today. Thank you.